Welcome to this video. What we're going to talk about today is how to write copy with SEO, so basically search engine optimized copy. In this video, you're going to learn what is SEO, how is it connected to copywriting. I'm going to show you how to do keyword research, or at least how to verify keywords. I'm going to also walk you through the terminology of SEO. And I'm going to show you an example of copy written with SEO keywords in the copy. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Those of you that are new, which most of you will be at this point because the channel is pretty new. My name is Adriana. I'm a copywriter. I started copywriting with no higher education, no experience. I was working in a completely different field. No saved up money, no gurus. I learned everything by myself, and now I'm a full-time copywriter. I work remotely, I work from home, or I travel a lot as well. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm trying to teach you to become a copywriter just like I have. Let's start off by talking about SEO a little bit. So SEO stands for search engine optimization, and basically it does what it says on the tin. So it's aimed at optimizing content on any given web page so that it's easily discovered by search engines. Now, search engines are things like Google and also YouTube, Amazon, Bing, Yahoo, and all these different websites where we go to looking for information, products, services, etc. You're a copywriter, right? You're a freelance copywriter, let's say. You might not be, but you're a freelance copywriter, and basically you have this service that you're offering to businesses, which is copywriting. So you have two ways of advertising your business. You can either go to a platform like Facebook where you create an advertising campaign and you pay for the campaign, and then you get leads through the paid campaign. What you can do is also you can count on people discovering your service through websites like Google. Now, how does it actually work that I can go to Google, I can type in copywriter, and then I will get a list of services? And what determines who is shown to me first? Because as you probably know by your own example, when you search something on Google, what usually happens is you go for the first or the second result. You don't really go to page 200. But there are millions and millions of web pages that match what you're searching for. So how does the algorithm determine who is shown first to the person that's searching? So basically, this is where SEO comes in. The algorithm, so Google's algorithm is very, very smart. And what it does is it crawls through all the different pages on the internet, scanning for things like keywords and content and types of content. And basically, the algorithm determines which web page is most likely to please the person that's searching. That's essentially what Google is trying to do. Google wants to please its customers, therefore it's matching the web page which it thinks are the best to the top of the search results. So if you want to be in the top 10, there are certain criteria you have to fulfill in order to be shown at the top of the results. And this is essentially what we're doing. When we're writing SEO copy, we're making it search engine friendly so that our customer can work towards being in the top result. The customer will approach you and they will ask you to write them, for instance, SEO friendly homepage content or SEO friendly homepage copy, correct? So what's going to happen from there is you will receive keywords, or you'll have to do keyword research. So keywords are really important. You're in a rush and you're trying to find, for instance, the nearest coffee shop, right? So you just type in something like Coffee London. Like, we never type in full sentences when we're talking to Google, like, "Hello Google, would you mind telling me where the nearest coffee shop is, please?" Because that's just not we've learned to disrespect Google on some level that we don't, and the algorithm has picked this up. So the algorithm understands. So a keyword could be something like copywriter London, copywriter New York, or freelance copywriter, or a sales page copywriter. So then what happens is Google keeps data on the search terms that are being typed in. So we can access this data through different tools, and this is how we would do SEO keyword research, and I'm about to show you. So I'm about to show you how to do keyword research, and this is going to be basically like a rundown, a very brief rundown, because I want you to know how to do it, but then also it's such a complex topic that it might take a while. But then also a lot of the times your clients will already give you the keywords, so all you need to do is just verify them and make sure that they make sense. So let's start off by going to Google, because Google is the #1 free tool for keyword research, and this is what you can do to just discover the general terms people search for. So let's start off by typing copywriter, just to see what we come up with, right? Let's say that we're just researching this because we want to do a copywriting service. I want to market a copywriting service for a client. So here we get a bunch of results, correct? Like, first of all, these are paid ads, right? You see the little ad bold text in the left top corner. So Google is trying to kind of incorporate the ads so they're not so flashy, because what people tend to do is kind of skip the ads and then just go straight down. But these businesses have paid to be shown on here, so Google needs to find a way to make sure that they get the clicks that they're paying for. So I naturally skip ads because we don't want the paid search, we want the organic search, right? So the first thing that comes up is how to become a copywriter, right? This is not what we want. We want to look for a copywriting service. But then what happens is you get down here, you get some book recommendations. So again, if you were sending a copywriting book, you would use certain copywriting keywords. So then Google shows your book to people that are searching. Then this is where the gold is, children. Here you have different related searches, and this is where a lot of keyword research comes from, the related searches. You have like copywriter salary, copywriter jobs, freelance copywriter. That's something that you might want to consider if you're a freelance copywriter and you're advertising a freelance copywriter service. And the rest seems to be aimed at people who want to become copywriters. So let's click freelance copywriter and see what happens. Again, we scroll down to the recommended. People also ask, how do I become a copywriter? What exactly does a copywriter do? Can anyone? So this is, again, what we get is the general feel that the people that type in copywriter are people that want to become copywriters. So let's change this and type in copywriting service. But then here you have refined the search, copywriting services marketing, copywriting services UK, white label so here is a more what we're looking for, right? We have this refined the search, 6 more, copywriting services USA, how to offer copy. So you see, you get all these keywords that you might want to use on your website, because if you have these keywords in your website, you're going to come up when people are searching. So for instance, if your website contains a lot of the keyword copywriting services marketing, then when people click this, and given that you fulfill all the other criteria, you have a higher chance of appearing in one of the top results for copywriting services marketing. And then if you had a more localized business, like for instance, let's say Birmingham, you know, you'd have a higher. So the more defined that key term is, the easier it is to rank for it. So for instance, long phrases that are very specific, like if you're selling a pair of red shoes, there's going to be billions of them on the internet. However, if you're selling a pair of red velvet shoes on a high heel that are a size 38 and are brand new and they were bought from Zara originally, you have all these different criteria that is going to narrow down how many other products like this exist on the internet. But there are also other tools that allow you to do keyword research. Now I'm just going to show you one just so you get an idea of what data you can access. But you can kind of dive into this a little bit deeper by yourself by searching in Google the different keyword research tools. Now this tool is called Ahrefs, and basically it has a keyword explorer option, and then you see all the different search engines it supports, like Google, YouTube, Amazon, Bing, Yahoo, Yandex, and more. I've never even heard of Yandex. Baidu, Daum, Naver, and Saznam. I guess that some of these could be foreign ones. So then you would click, for instance, Google, and you type in copywriting service. And here you get all kinds of information, all kinds of data. First thing that you get is keyword difficulty. So this is basically an estimation of how difficult it's going to be for you to rank for that keyword. Then you have the search volume. Monthly search volume is 450 in the United States. And the global one is just 700. So as you can see, it's not it doesn't seem to be it's not something that's in a lot of demand. Anyway, we scroll down. Also, you get cost per click. So for instance, if you advertised in Google, like you saw the first top results, if you put yourself up there, it would approximately cost you $8 per lead, per click to your website. So not even per lead, it would cost you approximately $8 for every person who would click to your website. And then what we have is terms that match, so web copywriting. So basically it gives you suggestions of other keywords that you could look at. Questions, so questions that people ask with that keyword in the question. Also rank for, so this is basically related terms that you could try to rank for, and also talk about, so again, related searches that are not with the actual term in it. And then you have position history, so it shows you which websites have previously ranked for this specific key terms and how it's moved. And then you get the SERP. So SERP is, for instance, I will show you what SERP is. Like a snippet that's been taken out of a web page. So it basically means that you don't have to click a web page, you just type it into Google and there it comes up. Copywriting, the activity or occupation of writing the text of advertisements or publicity material. So you see, you didn't actually have to click into any website. Google just took a snippet out of a website, a dictionary website, and put it on there and adapted it so you could see what copywriting is without entering into any specific web pages. The reason you might want to have access to this information, like the volume, the search volume, the CPC, and the difficulty, is because if a client comes to you and they give you a bunch of keywords that they think they should be ranking for, and you have no way of verifying whether these are good keywords or bad keywords, then basically you will end up writing copy. And if the client didn't pick good keywords, your copy is not going to get them ranked like they wanted it to be. So in my opinion, it's good to have like a global understanding of marketing. That's why it's good that you're learning about SEO now and about keywords, so that when you have an order that involves SEO, you can actually verify it yourself. So of course there are many factors that go into the effectiveness of a sales page or a website or an ad. If you can verify the keywords yourself, you give yourself a better chance of making sure that your copy is going to perform well, and you're going to have a happy customer who's going to recommend you and who's going to want to do business with you in the future. You will be more valued if you can input more advice into different parts of the strategy that goes around the copy. So guys, I know that this is kind of a complex topic to grasp. I hope that I'm giving you a good basic understanding. And now just to show you what happens afterwards. So let's say you do all this research on Google and you use the different keyword research tools that I'm going to share with you in the description below. What happens then is you would compile a list of keywords. So I'm going to show you an actual example from one of my own clients where we did the keyword research. So here, as you can see, I compile a spreadsheet which notes the keyword difficulty, the monthly search volume, and the cost per click. Now the reason, so the difficulty, you want to be in the medium to low range for new websites, and then for well-established websites, you could go into the higher difficulty keywords. But of course, the lower the difficulty, the better. But you want the difficulty to be paired with good search volume. So you want it to be, at least 100, but the more, the better. So for instance, you can see good keywords will have like a low difficulty and a high search number. Now, the reason we take note of cost per click, even though we're only doing organic marketing, is because if people are advertising and they're paying for the advertisement and there's money that's going into advertising a certain keyword, that generally is a good indicator that the keyword is profitable for the business. So as you can see, I divide my keywords into different categories depending on the service that my client is offering. And then I would compose website pages or blog posts or whatever we're working on using these specific keywords. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how do you write copy with the keywords, because this can be a little bit trickier. If you have an awkward keyword like copywriting services, how many times can you put it into the copy without it sounding weird or without there being too much of it, right? So there's always a balance that you have to maintain between, because copywriting is all about writing the way you speak. So if you have an awkward keyword in there, if you put it in too much, it's not going to be very flowy and it's not going to be very nice. It's going to get awkward and robotic. And the thing is that the Google algorithms, they don't like that. So yes, they want you to have the keywords in the text, but they don't want you to stuff it to the point where it becomes difficult for the reader to actually read what you're trying to say. And Google's algorithm is getting smarter and smarter at recognizing which websites are just trying to rank and they're not really taking customer experience into account. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you and I'm going to help you. I'm going to show you an example of 1 second. So I'm just going to take you to Google Docs. By the way, I recommend you keep all your work in the cloud so that you can actually access it. Okay, this is the book. So I've highlighted, sorry, you guys don't know what this is. So this is copy for a book that's being self-published on Amazon. And essentially what I'm doing with this copy is I'm convincing the reader to, of course, buy the book. But by doing that, I have certain keywords that I need to include because people go to Amazon searching for books, so they might type in something like communication books, you see here, or communicate better with. So we've already done the research, and these are the keywords. The ones that I've highlighted are the ones that we decided to use in the actual copy. So as you will see, there's not so many of them. They're not repeated over and over again. Because the copy is quite short, I don't have so much space, and I will not sacrifice the quality and the readability of the copy just to stuff it with keywords. So, for instance, one of the keywords was communicate better with everyone. And there's an easy way to use that when you're writing copy for a book about communication. My starter sentence was, what happens when you learn to communicate better with everybody, with everyone? Then another keyword, communication books. So you can already imagine someone going to Amazon, typing in communication books to find a book about communication, of course. So this is the way they would use it, but we have the term communication books. How do we use it in our copy? So I thought of using it this way. In the copy, I'm talking about someone who is in a situation where they're going through a conversation and it's very painful and awkward. And then I put a sentence in there, which is kind of humorous, but uses the key term. You thought about all the communication books you've read in your life and wished you had them with you to knock yourself unconscious as a way out of the conversation. I think it's kind of funny. Then I had a bunch of other keywords I wanted to include, and here we go. We have I put them into this kind of section which said why read this book, and then one keyword was interpersonal communication. It's something people search for on Amazon. So the sentence with that embedded was, learn interpersonal communication skills that will help you build meaningful and deeper relationships with people, how to talk to anyone, conversation starters, how to read people like a book. These are all terms that people are searching for. So my job was to embed that in copy that reads nice and sells the book. And then again, at the end, I just use the phrase communication book. So that's basically how you would write copy with the keywords. And the actual process I would recommend is having like a list of the keywords that you need to use with you, next to you when you're writing the copy, so you can keep glancing back at it and then you can keep getting ideas off of it. Now, another way you might be writing SEO friendly content is for, let's say, a blog post, right? So let me click this one. Now, when you're writing a blog post or website copy, you should also learn about tags, what they are and how to use them. So I'm going to leave some resources down below, but basically what you have is like the H1 tag, which refers to basically this. You see how this is an H1? As in it's a bigger because it's written in title, and it's a title tag, H1. So you have H1, which is the biggest, H2, which is smaller, H3, which is smaller. And basically this is about formatting your content so it's SEO friendly, because Google crawlers, they look at this. But again, I'm gonna leave more stuff in the description, because this video would go on for literally hours if I wanted to explain it all to you. You should read like a few websites and a few articles, maybe a few books about this to get a good understanding. But basically formatting is a big part of SEO as well. You have to format it in a way that's SEO friendly, as well as including the keywords. Oh, one more thing that I want to go through is the terminology. If you've seen my Facebook ad copy video, then you know that I love my terminology. But actually the reason I go through this stuff is so that when you're having a conversation with your client and they throw certain terms at you, you don't have to do the awkward, what does that mean? You can just be like, oh yeah, I kind of understand what he's talking about, or yeah, I'm super comfortable with it. So first of all, search engine, you already know this is Google, but can also be YouTube, can also be Amazon, and all these other ones I showed you, which I don't remember. Search intent. This is super important and a lot of people forget about this. So when you have a keyword, you have to understand what was the intent. What's the intent about behind the keyword? So if someone is typing in coffee shop near me, what are they looking for? They're looking for information, right? Or if they're typing in copywriting definition, they're looking for information. They want to know something. If the keyword or the key term is hire a copywriter, the intent is very clear. They want to hire somebody. They want to pay. They want to purchase. Or if the search term is buy a bike, I don't know, I picked the word, buy flowers, they're looking to buy, like they know that they already know that they want to buy. Yeah, so they're not looking like what should I get my mother for Mother's Day? They already know they want flowers. Or they're not typing in how to sell more of my product. They're like, I already know I need a copywriter. So you understand that the search intent is going to determine how you write your copy. Because if you're writing to give someone information, it's different to if you're writing to sell them something. Volume, so volume usually refers to the monthly search volume, so how many people actually type that term into Google, and how many people actually look for that specific keyword that you're dealing with. Tags, so I already kind of explained this here, but tags are basically H1 tag, which would be the header, the heading. Then H2 is also a heading, but it's like a smaller heading, little fish, big. H3 would be smaller, H4, and that is kind of supposed to determine the importance of the section on the page. So under H1 you have everything, so H1 is the most important title, H2 could be subheadings, H3s will be subheadings to H2s, H4s will be subheadings to H3s, and so on. Optimization, so Keyword optimization basically refers to the process of putting keywords into the website content and copy to optimize it for search engines. Traffic, so that refers to how many people are coming into the website. This could be either through organic traffic, like I said, through keywords, or it could be paid traffic through ads. Bounce rate, so it's basically how many people come into my web page and then click off it. And this happens usually, like for instance, if you're let's say that your keyword term is copywriting service or freelance copywriter, right? This is your search term that you're optimizing for, freelance copywriter. And then people type it in and their intent is to learn how to become a freelance copywriter, but your website is for free because you offer services as a copywriter. These people that are searching for a course on becoming a copywriter, they will go to your website and they will click straight off it because they would realize that's not what they're looking for. So this is the bounce rate, like how many people come in and then bounce off the website. And then meta, this is another one I forgot to mention. Meta title and description, or SEO title and description. So basically when you're writing something, when you're creating content, you will get this extra option of adding the SEO title and SEO description, or meta title. And basically what this is this what shows up on Google. So what shows up on, you have the option of creating a different description for Google search results. Like the way Google gets these descriptions is either default, which is like just the first few sentences of your content, or whatever you give it. So you always want to create a meta title and a meta description. Let me show you what these are. Basically, when you go into Google, do you see how you have like these, the title is in blue, and then underneath you have a description. You have the option of basically creating this separately from your web page. So for instance, you can have one title on your website, one something that's different to what you're going to put on Google, and the description is the same thing. You can either leave Google to do it by default, which would be basically the first sentence of the post or the content on your website, which might not necessarily make sense, or you can put your own description in. Now it's very important that you actually put your own in, because essentially what you're doing is, if someone is typing in copywriting definition here and they're looking for information and they have tens of websites to choose from, you want to catch them with that title and with the description and make sure that they click. So you're already selling them here. The sale here is to get them to click your website as opposed to the other tens and thousands of websites there. So this is basically the SEO title and the SEO description, but please note that you have a character limit on these, so Google is not going to show a huge description. It's only very short, just a few sentences, and the same thing with the title, it's only a few sentences long. But you always want to include your main keyword in the SEO title and your main keyword in the description, and maybe try to throw another keyword in the description as well as the main one. So that's it for today. I hope that I explained everything very well. I feel like I was talking very quickly, so if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I will respond to them. You can also get hold of me on my social media, which is here. And I'm mostly on Instagram, that's why this is the only one that I am listing. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It's gonna help other people see it, because YouTube's algorithm works like that. Feel free to also share it, save it, subscribe to the channel, and keep in touch with me. Share your progress, and yeah, I'm excited for you and for your journey as a copywriter, and I'll see you in the next video.